Welcome to 7/10 minutes with ARKHILITE C. At ARKHILITE C, we discover slow places, people, and objects. There are some people who ask us what's the difference between ARKHILITE C and ARKHILITE. It has been more like a personal, but of course, as a company initiative, that we are also very concerned and interested in discovering places, discovering peoples and people behind brands, or if they're doing their own craft and things along the likes. So we want to be able to see how brands and people who are behind them are shaping up the industry and creating some sort of, if you will, differences that bring about perhaps like some disruptions, and some other people might be continuing to ramp up their efforts in doing their craft and so on. Right. So today we're very happy to have Ziqi from the Design Vault. So Ziqi later on will share with us very much on what Design Vault is about, and as well as the brand story. And I think he will go all the way from his days in architecture school and how that actually developed and evolved along the way. Ziqi, thank you. We are thrilled to have you.
Yep, thanks for the invite.
Yep, Ziqi. So maybe you would like to give us a little bit like background in terms of what you have at Design Vault.
Maybe just a bit about myself. Personally, I'm trained as an architect about 15 years ago. So I probably am your junior in school. And then so NUS back then. And then since I graduated, I started doing design, all sorts of design, graphic design, interiors. I did wedding photos for a period of time, and then websites. So my initial part of my career was just freelancing, doing all sorts of design work for any kind that I can get right out of school. So in a way, I haven't really worked for someone in my life yet. That sometimes is a bad thing. So since then, I've been doing like business in like commercial design, residential design as well. So personally, I am in more for my approach to design is more a problem-solving way. So
right.
I believe that design should add value to whoever. As a service, it should add value to your clients, and also if you provide value, you will get some sort of a business going on. So that's why I started the Design Vault, which maybe I can just like do a quick.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I think that would be useful. So to see you're going to show us at Design Vault some of the like a short walkthrough, right?
Yeah. Maybe I would just show you the walkthrough first. So basically, this is. Do you see the shared screen now? Not yet, right?
Yep. Able to see it now.
The walkthrough?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So all right, yeah, but we're able to see the entrance to the Design Vault.
Okay, can. So anyway, this I'm just gonna let the video run. It was just a very casual video that I took for my friends. So
Absolutely.
Let's take a look. So basically, what we do here is so I have a 3,500 square feet space that I've curated a lot of different types of materials. Basically, the Design Vault has two main services. One is sourcing and one is customization. So the sourcing part is like, for example, we find different types of materials from all around the world and we bring it into Singapore and we try to offer it as options for customers to, like, especially designers and contractors. So the other thing is about customization. So you can see some of these finishes on the wall, these metal racks. They are very hard to do in Singapore because of the anodization process. But we can actually customize all these things where it is most cost effective and then ship it in just in time. So along the way, you can see a lot of different types of materials. Basically, all the materials that you see here can actually be customized to a certain extent. Yeah. So inside this room is my office, and then we try to play with different types of materials, as you can see. Yeah, so there's another space in there which I will jump to now. which has more materials like all these. So that part of the room is actually the showroom space, and then this part is actually like the material library where I have all the small little samples. So so I think what we're trying to achieve here is really curating, changing the way designers process, the design process is like. So instead of usually going to like the tile shop to find tiles, this light shop to find lights, you can potentially find a lot more things in this space. And most of these products are products that we bring in ourselves. So it's not like we buy from a local supplier and then we sell to you. So that in that way, when we do it just in time, we cut off the middleman, we can actually get cost savings, and we can also have more potential in doing a lot more different types of things. Because a lot of customization works, machinery, processes can only be done where it's most cost effective. If you want to do it locally, it could cost way too much that maybe you cannot even afford to do it in your projects. Yeah. So basically that is the whole service. Sourcing and customization. So how people work with us is sometimes if you want to look for certain things, they will just send me a photo, and then I will just say, oh, this one I know how to do it, or where can I get it from, and how much it costs. Yeah, something like that. That's the rough service.
Awesome. I think I think the one of the many interesting So I think what happens is that there are we can see the amount of materials which you have brought in from all over the world. I wouldn't say to satisfy, but to able to help out a lot in giving options and also to value to both designers and of course to projects and to the end clients as well. But I think before we want to, before we talk even more about that, because there's actually an evolution of some of the ideas that you have and some of the like how your life changes through the many different years and quite a number of interesting things and projects we are doing along the way. But I would like to take us all the way back to architecture school. So I'm very much your senior in some way. So during your architecture school in NUS, I understand that, of course, I mean, very much, I guess, in some way similar, the two of us. But you were on this exchange to Italy. Would you like to, please, in fact, I want you to share with us more regarding that.
Yeah, so I think Vincent was asking me why I started, not doing architecture. So
that was what. That's the $1 million question. But there are many of us, who embark onto something else. But we want to hear yours.
Yeah, I think I think what I remembered very clearly was the day. So I went on an exchange. I went to Sheffield, and then they sent me to Florence for a project. So I was in Florence for about 2 weeks, and then I think the European education in terms of architecture education it's a pretty eye-opening, like inspiring kind of like system. So they are much freer, and it kind of made me reflect on what we've been doing here, our school here, our school system, Singaporean, the Singaporean dream, and how we all like, what are we, chasing after. So at some point in time when I was like in Florence, I remember very clearly one morning when I woke up, I just told myself that maybe I should not do architecture because architecture is too far away. Like it's too big. The scale is too big. It's probably something that, like sometimes people say that the first few years of the architecture career, you have to just design toilets, that kind of thing. So I kind of decided to do something that is like shorter term, faster, things like interior design, graphic design, because it's still design.
Just to interrupt, sorry, and I'm always like sorry to interrupt, but is there something something that you went through in school over there in Florence that like exposed you to smaller or to arts and craft, which is like beyond architecture, and therefore that inspires you towards something else?
No, I think architecture there is very much more different. What they focused on was things like the site, the demographics, they focused a lot more on the the circumstances, the site, and maybe things like history, tradition, and how that influences architecture. But maybe in Singapore, it might be a bit harder to actually, have that kind of process. At the same time, I think the Europeans are generally freer in terms of their thinking. So I remember they brought us to a house where there were four creatives living off social welfare funds. So one was an open source software developer, one is a writer, one is a film photographer, and then the other one is what was she doing? And a writer. So you can see that they can pursue a certain trait or craft to the extent of to the end of the world, and don't really care about whether they can live comfortably. So that kind of gave me a bit of maybe inspiration that maybe money or our the typical Singaporean system might not be the only one. Yeah.
So you are off to chase. I mean, you're more exposed to chasing something. You begin to navigate your inner thoughts. Whether architecture, of course, something being that you like, and therefore you embark onto it. When after JC and all that. But then something else is also interesting to you, and why not those things which aren't like mainstream in Singapore?
I would say it's a combination of how we are brought up, the very rigid, safe, risk-averse kind of Singaporean inherently. But
and now you want to go the other way.
Trying to do something
thereafter from in Florence.
Very possible.
Did you graduate? Did you so you were grinding? Okay, let's graduate first. or you stomp off. You came back Singapore and off you go.
That was in year 3, and then I told myself, okay, I'm gonna find the slackest tutor that will let me do.
Okay, yeah. So if you're gonna name the tutors, then better not.
So I'll just try to find the fastest way to graduate with least effort while doing things at the side.
So you're already starting your some of alternative journey.
Yes. So
after you graduate, you became a graphics designer. You went into you were saying you're doing everything and anything that is nothing to do, not also directly as an architectural practitioner.
Basically anything under architecture, I did. So with geography, photography,
around the region of design and design and the built environment, I suppose.
Yeah, just not architecture.
Okay, so let's go a bit slower. So after you graduate, you became a graphics designer, and you were doing that for a couple of years, and thereafter you went into doing interior design for commercial projects, and quite very much focused on that as well. Would you like to share with us a little bit more?
But actually, because
for that part of the journey.
Yeah, when I started doing graphic design, you realize that a lot of the people are SMEs. They are self-employed people. So you get to meet a lot of people who can give you things to do. So naturally, since I'm an architect, trained architect, I can actually do interiors. So a lot of the clients were F&B clients, and then they say, why don't you do the interiors as well? So I can do the graphic design, the menus, the food photos, the website, all the way to the interior design, so that it's a very cohesive design. And, there is this story behind it that can run through.
Interesting. So something that's quite small, like you were saying, graphics, something which is even 2D. So let's make it 3D, and thereafter you have you're pursuing in a way architecture in the sense of interior, in just a different route.
So
very much like what I'm doing.
You can translate the graphic elements into your interior design elements.
100% and 100%. So your earlier projects are F&Bs or something?
Yeah, for the longest time, a lot of my projects were F&B and commercial projects. Of course, I also did residential projects as well. But slowly, I started to do less and less of those residential projects. So I think one of the things that it taught me is that because SMEs, we are all more cost conscious. So in fact, the budget is always tight, and especially for commercial projects, you kind of need to manage your budget. Otherwise, you might not be able to make the business work. after 3
Totally
years,
agree.
if the landlord asks you to renovate, then you would have grown.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah, yeah. As often as 3 years, I'm like 5. You know,
Yeah.
but 3 to 5, that's the norm.
I think it's a very realistic kind of thing that I saw right at the start, and it really pushed me to find cheaper ways of doing things, like cost savings, basically, for my clients. Because if I don't try to save money, I cannot do anything in the design because the costs are just so high. You know.
Yeah, so I'm so sorry, but Zizi, share with me how does that I understand your pursuit of like materials, special ones, unique, and sometimes they're hard to find in Singapore, and if they are there, the price is it may be prohibitive. So then, but how do you like link up that with then being your own importer of some sort? You know, what gave you the idea?
So I think about 7-8 years ago, I was doing a lot of. There was a few projects that were regional. So we did all the Kipling and Eastpak travel retail renovation shops.
Regional.
Yeah, APAC. So basically, if they want to set up a shop at Commune or at Taipei or at Bangkok or at Jakarta, we did all these. We did about 16 or 17 stores. What we'll do is we'll draw the drawings, submit to the HQ in the UK, and then after that, once they approve, then we have to liaise with the airport, and then we will produce them in Shanghai, and then ship it to the country, and then I will go and get it installed. So then it was like a period of time where it was quite fun. It's a pretty fun part of my life where I get to travel and see things and like take bets that are sometimes very risky. Yeah. So for example, one of the containers that went into Jakarta, like Jakarta is a bit more sensitive in terms of importing and exporting. So my taxes ended up more than my goods price. But fortunately, the client was understanding, so they took the taxes, they covered taxes. But it really taught me a lot of things about how to navigate the world, how to how different countries does things differently, cultures. So that really opened my eyes to a lot of different types of scenarios.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then at the same time, because when we were producing things in China and in different countries, I get to see how different it is, and in terms of costings, maybe some things are cheaper in other places, and why they are cheaper. Is it because of machinery? Is it because of manpower? So it really made me think a lot more about this whole world as and a market rather than just Singapore as like your market.
Of course. How does that project like grow? Because you were like experimenting with different kinds of projects, residential, retail, F&B. How does that of something that is like what you say quite international? How does that like fit into your overall story? Like there's a friend who was like working there and introduced you to this project.
Firstly, I think as a self-employed, as an entrepreneur, right from the start, one thing that I learned is you have to say yes when the opportunity comes, even if you don't know how to do it or you can't do it. So when the opportunity arises, you should just say yes. And
like a friend give you a call to see whether you're in for something like that.
Yes, and then just say yes, you can do it. And then, although you don't know how to get it done, you can figure it out.
That's a spirit, of course.
As long as you know how to get around things. Yeah. So whenever like opportunities arises, you just, in reasonably riskiness, decide whether you can do it or not. Yeah.
And then you made a switch. Are you still like designing now, or mainly you're doing more of importing or?
Yes, we still do designing because ultimately I think I'm a designer at heart, and the reason why I'm doing this is also because of design, not because I want to sell materials. Yeah. So I think the change was in about 2015. Previously I was managing a team of about 17 people. My own
you were saying.
Yeah. So it's like we're doing graphic design, interiors, photography, everything under one roof. And what I realized that is the reality of the market is that if you provide value to people, like you let people have that one point of contact and multiple services under one roof, you cannot charge multiple services added together. So instead of like, I mean, the customers would rather pay like say $30,000 for 5 people, but if they give you everything, they will only want to pay you $20,000. You know, it's that kind of situation. So
yeah, sometimes you think about it, you know that you feel that it's unfair and so on, but that's how how the human's mindset works.
Yeah, so unfortunately that's the case. And then I mean, I realized that it's
a one-stop service.
Yeah, it's like I like, because the staff, they're only good at one thing. So in the end, right, if you want someone to be able to oversee everything, you want to be the one. So in the end, it ended up a lot of things came back onto me, and then I figured that like it's not realistic to do this like that.
Got it. So the idea of being able to, since you already like know where to source for interesting things for your projects and for some of the projects which you were undertaking, and that brought you, like what you're saying, around the world, or at least quite regionally, and therefore the possibility of sharing these beautiful materials which are of value, meaning that the prices and so on, they really matches up well, something that's within the pockets of of projects, or at least the projects that can more or less afford them in Singapore. So I think you're I don't know, but at least to me as a fellow designer, I think that you're doing a huge like a help to the industry, because there are a lot of times whereby you ask any designer, it would be the construction cost, and then to a certain extent that even if the design fees per se, we're able to lower it down, it doesn't cover up, it's just a small small percentage of the overall cost.
So I think this is the whole idea of how the world has evolved. If you look at like drop shipping, you look at people buying stuff online now, the habits are more like, I don't mind buying something cheaper if I need to wait for 4 to 6 days or 10 days. So actually this whole thing is also inspired by a bit of all these, how the world is moving, how logistics is more and more efficient nowadays. We can ship things to any country in a very fast manner, and costs are getting lower and lower. So eventually I think the whole world will just become one big market, or one big country, So so I think in the essence of it is like, costs are very high, and if we don't, as designers, if we don't take it upon ourselves to manage it ourselves, we will not be able to get the breakthrough in the design that we want.
100%.
Yeah.
I think if it's almost like a ideal situation, but if we are able to get the cost of materials to an extent, and also the standard of it, the quality of it, not just materials, of course, but today we're talking about your vault, and we're talking mainly about materials. I hope that we can speak to a contractor. I'm trying to get my contractor friends in, but they're a bit shy. But if we're able to talk to them, then we're able to talk about the label part as well. How the assembly works. But if we're able to get cost of these two main factors to be in, I think by and large, at least in Singapore, I cannot say for the whole world, but if that is applied to Singapore and as well as to many parts of the world, things will be awesome. Things will be, that is just very much on your creativity, my creativity, and creativity at large, and not so much in terms of materials.
The cost of the materials is just one thing, but there needs to be a mindset shift in order for people to actually adopt this way of doing. For example, we do a restaurant in about 4 to 5 weeks. Every single thing is imported, like tiles, vinyl tiles, like metal racks, lighting, furniture, tables and chairs, everything in 5 weeks. So the mindset shift has to occur in the sense that you need to, in order to get the cost savings, you must plan accordingly. You must plan your timing such that they can coincide in a reasonable manner. But of course, you
This is where your service is important then. Your business to us.
yeah, because of the tight timeline, you also need to manage the risk. Like some things that are not too risky, then we don't do it. You know,
100%.
but
How certain you are.
yeah, if we can do it in 4 to 5 weeks for F&B project, I think a lot of projects can be done. But then it will require a bit of like planning in terms of timing lah. But at the same time, you mentioned about contractors. I think that's a very valid point because you know our contractors are very rigid in terms of the mindset. Maybe the younger ones that are coming up, they will be more exploratory. They'll be more garang to try and
to a certain point, we have to be almost like taking the lead. We have to be able to, okay, this is how you cut it, this is how you fix it, and if you fix it, it looks okay, you know.
Yes,
so almost we have to know it, and then we like kind of demonstrate.
And you have to show them that you cannot let them have the feeling that this is something that they have not done before because they will charge you a lot for it. I explain to you how it's done, and then you can actually just do it like that. So you have to. It takes a bit of time to find that people who can work well with you as a partner in terms of the construction part. So, which also brings me to this next point that I want to share about is what I'm trying to create here. I'm not just trying to create a showroom of materials because I think that is just like it's not design. But I think what's more important is in order for like maybe the Singapore design industry to upgrade as a whole, we need we need more synergy in terms of the construction and designers exploring, more people wanting to try more different things, more people who are willing to push the boundaries and the limits of this design. In this case, what I can do is to facilitate in terms of the cost, but eventually it will still take designers who are willing to explore to create more interesting things. So which is why I'm actually this showroom, this design vault is actually an idea. It's like I kind of want to make it a network as well. So it's like a network of designers, contractors, like-minded people. They come together every month. We can have like gatherings. It's a very collaborative approach because we don't always like protect their own thing and don't let people know what they're doing. Because ultimately the market is there. If you're doing something right, you will get the customer back.
100%. Totally agree.
At the same time, if you meet contractors who are like-minded, you can click. Then they are more willing to help you, try out different things. Then they will also find interest in like an interesting niche that they can create. Instead of
100%.
carpentry all the way, carpentry, laminates, veneers. Suddenly they add a material to their repertoire, and they can actually provide it as a different service.
Totally. If you look at history, I think I need to like talk about the name of our chat. 7/10 minutes. So it's meant to be that short, but so far we have never kept to that time. But let's do it within like half an hour. What you've just said is really interesting. I think it reminded me of you have mentioned about coming together, not worrying that it's your business, it's my business, or anything like that, but knowing that let's grow the pie bigger because the pie will be big enough for everyone. That's the mindset that you have, and that's the mindset that I think a lot of practitioners must have as well. Let's talk about, because history really shows it. That there isn't like really like that many places in the world whereby you get someone who is good at something and and that's it. Because more often than not, if you look at history, we look at say places like Paris for fashion. We look at places like say Italy where you went to, and then when you were there and during a few months and you were like in a way it rekindled your interest, awaken your interest in some other I would say in a more like perhaps even like subconscious part of you. But when you have places like that, like say during the Renaissance or even during the Impressionists, whereby again they ventured towards to Europe, to some of these places, again to places like Paris and so on. Then you have this coming together of talents who are being backed up by suppliers and so on. So people who are in the back, people who's at the back, people who's at the front doing it, and also the clients. So everyone grow, the whole industry grow. The place becomes like famous for something because of the high standard. And then it's not just one person, you know, it's a whole collective, like what you're saying.
Yes.
Front and back, and even the clients in terms of the overall standard of things has just like dramatically increased.
Yeah, right now I see the Singapore like the market is getting more stagnated because costs are getting.
We will get there. We will get there, and therefore the one of the objective of this chat is really to discover people, you know, so that we know that you're not alone. We want to let you know that you're not alone. That here we are, and there are tons of really a lot of people, designers, both young designers, design students, and as well as seasoned practitioners who are looking out for breakthroughs.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Tzu Chi. I think to before I let you go, really, you know, folks. You are listening, you're tuning in to Li Tzu Chi, founder of the Design Vault. He carries many interesting and unique pieces which you can do, which can potentially not just make your design look more expensive, but or rather you can have a design which is exquisite, which is unique, and you'll be able to feel it because the construction of that is reasonable, and it's so reasonable that that you might really be able to fulfill designs that you thought that, or perhaps it's only like available in some other countries, but in Singapore, that you just cut it off, and everyone loses the opportunity to enjoy the design. So Tzu Chi, thank you so much for really this vision that you have to bring some of these really beautiful and exquisite materials to over here, and as well to share with us your interesting journey from how all the way from architecture school in NUS and to wherever they are doing now, doing awesome things for us, really.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
I think maybe just let me share the Instagram.
100%. I wanted before I let you go, that was what I wanted to for all the folks around to take a look.
I'll just share the screen a bit.
Please. You got to put it down from your monitor. You've got two screens.
What do you see now?
I'm still seeing us.
Okay. Hang on now.
Yeah, not to worry. All right.
Okay.
Now I'm seeing your desktop. Right. Yeah, this is cool. Now we're looking at your Instagram page.
Yeah, so
Design Vault Official.
Yeah, I guess the best way to get in touch is really through Instagram, where you can actually see a lot of the different types of things. So every single thing here that you see can actually be achieved. It's not like an inspiration page where you don't know where it's produced or you don't know how to get it, or if you ask a certain product, you can actually get a price and also certain specifications, what to look out for. So we'll try our best to actually share. You don't need to use us to ask questions. You know, anything that you want to find out about, you can actually just ask, and then we will be keen to just share with you whatever that we know.
To your Instagram page and to follow it, so that we get more, not like what you said, not inspirations, but the material which we can really use for our projects. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tzu Chi.